Grandpa Walter died on a Sunday morning, quietly, in his sleep, the same way he lived, without unnecessary noise. Richard called me, not to tell me he was gone, to tell me when to show up and where to sit. I'm adopted. In this family, I always knew my place. I arrived last, walked into the house where I grew up. No one turned around. Richard stood in the center of the living room like he'd already been appointed. Karen arranged food on the table like she owned the place. Tyler sat in Grandpa's chair, the same chair where Grandpa used to read me stories at night when I was 7 years old. None of them were crying. The notary arrived at 2 o'clock, sat down at the table, opened the folder. I found a spot by the wall where no one could see me, the house in the suburbs, to Richard. Richard nodded. Karen squeezed his hand. The investment account, split between Richard and his son Tyler. Tyler smiled. The kind of smile people try to hide, but don't really try. The car, the watch collection, the furniture, all itemized, all divided, all accounted for. The notary turned the page, Ethan Collins. Everyone looked at me. For the first time all evening. The notary reached into the folder and pulled out a small envelope, old, yellowed at the edges, slid it across the table toward me. "That's it?" Tyler said it out loud, in front of everyone. Karen covered her mouth with her hand, not from grief. Richard cleared his throat and turned toward the window. I picked up the envelope. It was light. Tyler didn't stay quiet for the rest of the evening. "An envelope." He kept repeating it like it was a punchline. "Grandpa left you an envelope. Happy birthday, Ethan." Karen said it quietly, but loud enough for me to hear. "Did he at least check if there's a stamp in there? Maybe a 5-cent coin?" Laughter. I sat at the table and ate, quietly. Grandpa taught me that. Don't react immediately. First, understand. Then, decide. Never, on emotion. The envelope sat in my jacket pocket. I didn't open it in front of them. I opened it that night, in my car, in a supermarket parking lot, because I didn't have my own home. I was renting a room. Inside was a sheet of paper folded in half. Grandpa's handwriting, steady, like him. Ethan, Box 1147, First National Bank, Main Branch, Code 08-2-9-1961. That's the date I met your mother. She asked me to take care of you. I promised her. I kept my word. I sat there and stared at those lines. Then read them again. Then once more. Rain fell outside the window. The next morning I was at the bank before it opened. A manager walked me into the vault. Metal shelves, silence, the smell of paper and cold air. Box 1147. The code worked on the first try. Inside was an envelope, large, thick, and on top, a note. Don't rush, don't tell anyone. Decide for yourself what to do first. That matters. I opened the envelope, a bank check, made out to Ethan Collins, $10 million. I closed the envelope, closed the box, walked out of the vault, thanked the manager, stepped outside, got into my car, and just breathed for a few minutes. I went back to them the next day for the memorial dinner. Karen asked if I needed help finding a new job. She knew someone hiring at a warehouse. Tyler told everyone at the table that Grandpa must have always known I was not quite one of them. Why else leave me just a piece of paper? Richard mentioned he'd heard about a cheaper room for rent in the next neighborhood over, in case I was looking. I nodded, ate my soup, watched them. Grandpa wrote, "Don't rush." I didn't rush. 3 weeks passed. I quietly resigned from my job, told them I'd found something else, met with a lawyer, then a financial advisor, then the lawyer again. Tyler sent a message. "Hey, any chance you could help me move this weekend? I have the truck, you handle the boxes, you're usually free anyway." I didn't reply. Karen called, said Richard needed my signature on a document related to Grandpa's house, just a formality. I said I'd call back. I didn't call back. They found out by accident. Tyler ran into my lawyer at a coffee shop. They had mutual contacts. Tyler told Richard. Richard called the bank. They told him nothing, of course, but he already understood. Richard came to my apartment. I'd moved into a new place a month earlier, a good one. He buzzed the intercom. I let him up. He walked in, looked around, said nothing for a moment. "Grandpa left you money." Not a question, a statement. "Yes." "How much?" I didn't answer. "Ethan, we're family." I looked at him. Family. He said that word so easily, like it weighed nothing, like it had no history, like it didn't carry a single evening of me standing by the wall where no one could see me. "I know," I said, and I opened the door. Karen sent a long message about how she always loved me like her own, how Tyler's jokes were just his personality, never meant to hurt. how Grandpa would have wanted us to stay together. Tyler sent one word. Seriously? Nothing after that. I read every message. I didn't reply to any of them. Grandpa understood them better than they ever knew, and he understood me. He didn't leave me a house or a car. He left me time. Time while they laughed at the envelope. I stayed quiet. Time while they humiliated me. I was counting. Time while they divided his things. He had already made his decision long ago. Don't rush. Decide for yourself first. I decided. Some things you don't forgive. Not because you're bitter, but because you finally understand your own worth. And you stop negotiating it. If you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family, drop one word in the comments, envelope. I read every single one, and if this story hit you somewhere real, the next one drops in 3 days. Subscribe, miss it, and you'll regret it.